I love when the Bible directly contradicts things that my parents taught me when I was growing up. These are just my favorite parts of the Bible. Because this reading did not appear in my parents' personal philosophy on personal finance that they gave me before I set out into the world. My parents are the best people I know. They are faithful Christians, but they told me that every month I ought to put away about 10% into an emergency fund because you never know what life's going to throw at you, and then put another 10% or about $5,500 a year in a Roth IRA. You pay taxes on it this year. You don't have to pay taxes when you take it out later, and this is great. Financial security will falleth upon you like the fresh morning dew if you do this. Jesus had a different philosophy, and I want to call to people's attention that he doesn't say this woman has given more because she gave a proportionally larger amount of her modest income than the rich people. She gave all that she had, her whole livelihood. It seems as though Jesus is not a big fan of reserves. Not a big fan of hedging your bets. And this is really challenging for me because I feel like I've been hedging my bets for most of my life. I went to college and I studied the liberal arts, which is what you study when you don't know what you want to do. And then after I graduated, I went into consulting, which is a profession for people who don't know what they want to do. And now I'm getting my MBA, and my focus is general management. This is a graduate program for people who don't know what they want to do. I don't want to foreclose any options. This is challenging for me. And I'm not worried about my career. I'm really grateful for all of the opportunities that I have. But when I reflect on this behavior, I can't help but notice that I seem to be postponing picking something to care about. And as I dig deeper into this and ask myself why, I think it's because caring is terrifying and hard. And so we find ways to get out of it all the time. I think about my own story of a widow, my grandma. My grandma Mona Coates met my grandpa Bob when she was 16. They got married when she was 17, and they had my mom, Ginger, when they were 18. They were married for almost 50 years, and then in 2007, my grandpa passed away. And then a year later, my grandma's dog, Honey Bun, also left this earth. And I remember calling her on the phone, and we were chatting, kind of talking about Honey Bun's last few days, and my grandma interrupts herself in the middle of her story and says, "And you know what, Laura, I'm not getting another dog. I can't do it anymore." And this just killed me because the it in that story is caring. It's loving. I can't let another creature into my life and give it my love and lose it again. I can't be abandoned again. I can't feel that way again. Caring makes us so vulnerable. And so, of course, it's much easier to be a scribe. We focus our energies on appearing to care, on being friendly, nice even, except for occasionally devouring a widow's house. It's easier to be careless, to hedge our bets, half listening, never investing, one foot out of the door, ready to bail when things get weird. It reminds me of what Fitzgerald said about his antagonists, Tom and Daisy, in his book, The Great Gatsby. They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back to their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together and let other people clean up the mess they had made. Isn't it easier to care less? Tom and Daisy, let us not forget, had amazing parties every weekend. The scribes got to wear those really great long robes. Not to mention, when we care less, we get to protect ourselves from heartbreak, humiliation, loss, and pain. But when we never fully engage, when we phone it in, when we hedge our bets, we also never experience true love, pride, fulfillment, or joy. And what's more, I think we might miss out on the very kingdom of heaven. The times I've hedged my bets and really cared less, it's like I'm living some strange half-life where I see things happening to me and I don't have much of an opinion either way about them. It's like it's all some boring movie playing in the background while I'm on my laptop doing work or checking Facebook. When I came to church for the first time in 10 years, about 18 months ago, I was in a place like that, in sort of an existential rut. Not unhappy, just a little careless. And I sat here with all of you, and for a reason I'm still kind of processing and trying to understand, I spent about 90% of the service just crying. This is a symptom, I think, a symptom of denying vulnerability and passion, of denying conversation that goes beyond work and reality television. Sitting in that pew and hearing someone talk about something real, seeing vulnerability in the pulpit, a backlog of confused, overwhelming emotions came pouring out, the only way they're allowed to before language embraces and names them. So I still have no idea what I'm supposed to do with my life, but I'm starting to form a hypothesis on how I'm supposed to live it. Passion doesn't need to be directed to a specific hobby or job. Maybe there is never going to be that moment of vocation when God shines a light down on me and whispers lovingly in my ear, dental hygienist. But this caring, this summoning of our entire self, this giving over, it can happen every day. In a coffee chat to a younger person just starting out in the world, in a visit to an old friend whose father was just diagnosed last month with melanoma. In singing Amazing Grace during worship, we always have the power to give ourselves over, to give all that we have. We can do it anytime, anywhere. I'm starting to think that God doesn't hate reserves because he's some evil, Knievelish daredevil obsessed with making us live on the edge. It's because reserves keep us from seeing the kingdom of heaven. Not after we die, but right now. We have access to it through these moments when we give all that we have. It's when we give everything we have right now, imperfect as it might be and illogical as it might be. It's when, as an 80-year-old widow, we say, what the heck, and give our last 2 mites, or adopt a cat and name it Bibby, that we see God. And so I challenge all of you this week to give of yourself. Maybe not everything all at once. We're humans after all, and sometimes we've built walls for good reasons. But maybe we can pick one thing, one person we could otherwise blow off, or a task we could phone in, or one conversation that we could have at a really shallow level, and care more. Dare to be vulnerable and to show how you care. From your poverty of time, from your poverty of energy, from your poverty of pain tolerance, give everything you have left. Amen.